Yo, peace to all of the kings and queens that's out there. This is your brother, the 13th letter to the cipher, and I am BACK on this. See, I still haven't gotten a name for it. I still haven't gotten a name for today. But today is Friday, which is the Norseman or Norse's god, Frigga. Okay, that's where you get that from. Friday, and I still haven't found out, name for Friday in Kemetic name or African name. That's my fault. I haven't found it out. But today is Friday, okay? I'm gonna stop giving these gods power. You understand what I'm saying? But anyway, I hope you all are doing well. I'm gonna be fast. I got some place to go and I cannot be late. Okay. I've been doing some things. I've been reading some mad material. If you all haven't got any of John Jackson material, please, by all means, get that material. Please, by all means. Okay, and I want to say, I want to say, what's up, General Seti? I want to send some shots out to that brother. The brother said some things that I didn't like, but I still love that brother. He is a very, very good teacher. In fact, he is a master teacher. So I highly recommend you all, if you all haven't heard the brother, get down with the brother. And it is peace between me and you. Love. It's love, brother. It's love. You just said some shit that I didn't like. And, we all say shit that each other don't like. So anyway, I'm back and I've been dealing with life like everybody else has been dealing with life, but I've also been reading. And my head is full of, I got to put it all in order. But once you catch it, it gets good. I'm just telling you that, okay? But in my last video, I spoke to you all about European nations and Arab nations and how they invaded Africa and how you can find this information in The Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. And if you all have not read that book, please read that book. It's absolutely free. You can download it from the internet. It is very pertinent. Please, I'm not talking to the people that know. I'm talking to the people that don't know, okay? Please get that book. And when the Arabs came and invaded Africa in the 7th century, they came with Islam. Prior to that, Black people never heard of Islam. You understand? So for all of my brothers and sisters that's out there in the Nation of Islam, I want you to ask your ministers that is in your mosque, okay? Because we never heard of Islam in Africa, aka Al-Kubalan, aka Kemet. We didn't hear anything about or know anything about Islam, okay? But anyway, it was the invasion, and it was this invasion by the Arabs in the 7th century that facilitated the inner slave trade. Arabs had conquered the Sudan and much of East Africa. And some people with your foolish self walk around here talking about, well, there's good Arabs and there's bad Arabs. But what you did forget is that when they invaded Africa, in the name of Islam, they raped your women in the name of Islam. They raped your women in the name of Allah. They raped your women in the name of Allah. I'm just saying. Y'all need to check that out. Okay? And they did the same thing just as the white folks had did, in the name of Jesus under Christianity. And you still don't see anything wrong with that. You still don't see anything wrong with that. And as I stated before, we didn't even know who Allah was. We didn't even know who Jesus was. In fact, if you study the book entitled Christianity Before Christ by the master teacher John G. Jackson, it'll give you a whole new perspective of what I'm talking about, a whole new perspective of what you think you know. And once again, this is for people who don't know what I'm talking about, because there are some people who know what I'm talking about. Okay? I'm just saying. But every organized religion, I don't care what it was, that came to Africa in the name of some stupid god, enslaved us. And you, foolish black man and woman, walking around here with a lock on your brain, bragging about your oppressor's religion. You understand that? But when you study, you will find things out there that has been hidden from you. If you need some inspiration or you need some more information, I highly advise you to go to my video entitled Jehovah versus Jesus. Jehovah versus Jesus. But getting back to the subject, black folk have been confused about Islam, Christianity, and the so-called Hebrew religion. Look, I don't understand if you can just go check their records, their history. There is nothing to argue about. You have these Gentiles, these Caucasian Gentiles, who call themselves Jews, have created an international faith or religion that is just for them. Okay? Do you get that? Did you hear what I said? If you didn't hear, go back. If you didn't hear what I said, go back and rewind it. Okay? That's all I'm saying. And there are different tribes, different nations of Jews. You know, you got the German Jew, you got the Russian Jews, you got the English Jew, you got the Dutch Jew, you got the oligarch Jew, you got a whole bunch of Jews, you got the Khazar Jews. Okay? In fact, when I was telling people about the Khazars in the early 90s and was telling people how they were fake Jews, people didn't believe me. But a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago, all on the news, even on front of newspapers, on YouTube, on Google, on fucking CNN, big ass, you know, the Khazars are the fake Jews. I've been telling that shit to people since the 90s. But I'm the crazy man. I'm the crazy man. I've been studying a while, but it's been taking me some time to get things together. I've been dealing with life just like everybody else has, okay? But anyway, they conquered Africa and most of the world. And according to the book of Revelations, it says that Satan has deceived the whole world. If you are not, what I'm saying is this, if you are not controlling the world, you are the one that is being deceived. That's all I'm saying. Right? Right? Many people don't understand the Jews and the role that they played in slavery and colonialism. They did it just as other European nations have, but they didn't do it as much, so to say. Let's say it was like a 70-30 split, okay? And they only had the 30 split. You know, Jews are business people. And slavery, just as prison today, is a business. It's a business. No apologies, no reparations, no free schooling, no exempt from tax, no nothing. So I really don't understand why people, you know, be arguing when the only thing they have to do is do some research and check those people's records, check their history. READ. That's what it's called. Read. Okay. So if you haven't read and you need to catch up because you're slipping. You're slipping bad. But anyway, when getting back to the subject, when Alexander had invaded Kemet, one of the very first things that he did was intermarry Greece men into Kemetic royal families. And when I say Kemetic, I'm talking about Egypt. I'm talking about black people. I'm not talking about the people that's there now. I'm talking about our people. And when Alexander conquered, and I believe that was in 322 BC, When he came into Egypt and conquered it, that's one of the first things that he did. He began to, you know, intermarry Greek people into the Egyptian royal family, the black Egyptian royal family. May I add, just for the record, black, B-L-A-C-K, or Kush, C-U, excuse me, K-U-S-H. Some people spell it C-U-S-H, which means burnt face. And I am a burnt face. So I am a Kushite, just like you are a Kushite. But anyway, and you know, he married into the bloodline. He married into the bloodline. He accepted some, he adopted some African culture, you know, and um, he cut off the heads of the black statues and replaced them with Greek heads. So you was thinking that it was the Greeks who did all of that. Did you hear me? For those of the people that don't know, okay, he cut off the heads of African statues that represented blackness and our greatness. He cut the heads off and put Greek heads on it. He put Greeks' heads on it. And he did what all other conquerors did. You know, he waged war on your society and your culture, making you think less of yourself and much of themselves. Not to mention, took our women and raped them at will and did whatever he wanted to do with them. Now, for those of you who are Christians and all of that Allah stuff and all of that good shit, where's your vengeful God when all of this shit was taking place? Don't give me no story. It's all in God's plan. Don't give me that bullshit. You should be past that sandbox material. Like for real. And according to history, and according to the master teacher, John Henry Clark, Alexander was not prejudiced in regards to color. And neither, surprisingly, was the Romans. And after the Romans had entered the Mediterranean, they didn't want to be like the Greeks. See, the Greeks was like, you know, we can share, we can do this, you know, we can, you know, let's work it out. No, the Romans said, fuck that, we want it all. And in around 30 BC, Augustus Caesar did just that and invaded our great Kemetic kingdom, our land, at least that part of the country. Okay, and hey, check this out. After he invaded Kemet in 30 BC, Africa in 30 BC, I'm gonna tell you what he did. He took the food. He took the food that the Kemetic people had. You know, like you had your grocery stores, you know, and shit like that, right? He took all of the food and resold it to them for taxes. He took that food and resold it to them for taxes. Sounds like the dope game to me with law enforcement, DEA and CIA. But anyway, because they the ones that really control the market in the end. But yeah, they sold the food back to him. And this really was the beginning of their mindset to actually conquer the world. White supremacy came later down the line with, what's the dude name? Johann Blumenbach or something. Yeah. But anyway, the Romans had destroyed Carthage, and for 300 years, they killed, guess what? Christians. Yes, they killed Christians. In fact, they killed more Christians than the African amphitheater versus the Roman Colosseum. Huh? Man, history will blow your mind. Straight up. In Northern Africa, they killed a lot of Christians. Like I say, versus the Colosseums that they had in Rome. And I mentioned Christians because there was this great black Christian woman. What's her name? What's her name? Apathia. 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 But anyway, as like I said, the Romans was invading at this time, and they killed her. They raped her. They killed her, and they threw her body into the Mediterranean. And why did I mention this particular woman? I mentioned her because she was the progenitor of what you would now call Sunday school. That's right. If you have not read Christianity Before Christ, you need to go check out the master teacher, John Jackson. For those of you who don't know, okay? Like I said, they threw a body into the Mediterranean Sea, and the Romans actually didn't respect. The Romans actually didn't respect the Christians because they felt that anybody that had a religion that told them to turn the other cheek were absolutely fools. I'm just saying. The Christianity that you have today is not the Christianity that, or that school of thought is not the school of thought that originated in Ethiopia, you know. And in fact, Christianity, which had no name at that time, existed in Al-Kubalan, which is Africa, 3,000 years before the fake Jesus that you got today. In fact, Ethiopia is the home of the oldest Christian church. And it is made in the ground. It's like a subdivision. It's like a subdivision, and we were the real Masons. Because once you check that shit out from a sky view, a topography view, man, it's real deep. It's real deep. Straight up, we was the real Masons, not this organizational bullshit. We was the real Masons. We were builders, nation builders. And that's something that we got taken away from us, got beat out of us, got raped out of us through the slave trade of how the nation build. Because we lived as a collective people. We weren't like we are today. No fucking way. If you read, man, it'll blow your mind, man. And it would inspire you to want to do the shit that you're supposed to be doing. Like not shooting each other, like not killing each other, like not calling each other bitches, hoes, and motherfuckers, and listening to all of that bullshit. That's what it would do. Now, if you examine the Bible that you have right now for my Christian people, because you know we somewhere in the lecture or the message about some Christians. But if you study your Bible that you have today, Christians, if you truly examine it, you'll find that it really doesn't make any sense. I mean, for real. I mean, you got to admit some of that shit don't make no sense. Okay? And it doesn't. And it was meant that way. You understand what I'm saying? I would have to really question your intelligence. If you believe that everything in that Bible is true, I would really have to question your intelligence as a human being. And I would further have to question, why do you think it's true when you don't have any type of proof? Well, let me ask you a question. From a Christian family out there, is God perfect according to your book? That, you know, that son book that you call Bible, the son book, well, that's a whole nother story. Check out other videos. Yeah, that Bible that you got is, do you think that God is perfect, you know, from your Bible? You say yes, right? Right. Okay. Now, if I ask you, does God make mistakes in that book that you got right there? You tell me, no, God don't make mistakes, right? Even without the book, God don't make no mistakes, right? The fuck he don't. Eh, dig this here. I want you to go to your book right now, Genesis chapter 6, verses 5 and 6. And it says, in verse 5, it says, as God says that he, in chapter 6, verse 5 and 6, God says that he made a mistake in making you and in making me. You dig? And verse 5 says this, and the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of his thoughts of his heart was only evil continuously. And verse 6 says that it repented the Lord, that he made man on earth and it grieved his heart. You understand? So God, the very same God that you praising, talking about, is the omnipotent and the holy one. This motherfucker said he made a mistake when he made you. Hey, don't argue with me, argue with your book. And that is not the book that we studied 3,000 years before your fake Jesus. Okay? I'm just saying. History is a motherfucker, yo. History is a motherfucker. That's all I'm saying. It is a concept game. And you, my Christian people, are the victims of Constantine and the Council of Nicaea. Constantine said, "In hunc signo vinces," meaning that with this sign we shall rule. And he was talking about the cross. And he did that because the people were uprising against their political rule. And these were, once again, the Romans. Okay? And for those of you who all do not know, Emperor Nero was the grandson of Augustus Caesar. That shit threw me away. I'm just saying. Yeah, and with the Christians uprising and Roman soldiers being converted, they say, well, fuck it, we got to change this shit, okay? Because all of this is gonna backfire on us. So they held the Council of Nicaea in I think it was 325 AD. Yeah, I want to say 325 AD. And they made their changes to the Christian thing and everything and made it for their benefit. And it pleased the people for a while, but after a while, the people said, fuck that shit, because we still fucked up. Y'all took our shit then, revamped it, and give it back to us, and we got to suffer? Oh, no. So now they revolted and basically wanted some type of new form of worship. And that's where Islam comes in. The Arabs came in. The Arabs came in the 7th century to get the Romans off our ass, okay? The Romans was on our ass. Bad. Okay? Nobody likes rulership or dictatorship when a motherfucker has taken your shit. But at least Alexander, he came in, he showed just a little, some mercy. These motherfuckers were outrageous. But the Arabs, they came in real slick. You know what I'm saying? They came in real slick. I'll get to that later. But they came in real slick, and like I say, we didn't know anything about Christianity. We didn't have a religion in Africa. We didn't have a religion. We were more spiritual, which like supersedes religion, if you know what I'm saying. And Islam, according to history, was recorded as coming to Africa in 614 AD, when so-called Prophet Muhammad and his believers, his followers, were being persecuted. Muhammad instructed some of his disciples to seek refuge in Askum. Askum. Some just spell it Akum to confuse you. And if you don't know where Askum is the great city of is in the great city state of Ethiopia. It is a city in the great state of Ethiopia in the country of Akubalan. Yes, that's about what I wanted to say. I think that's more politically correct. It is a city in the state of Ethiopia in the country of Akubalan. Okay. And that Askum Empire like ruled from like 400 BCE until the 10th century or something like that. We were a great people, and the Caucasians actually copied. We were so great that the Caucasians actually copied our political system. And after they copied it, they corrupted it and came out with socialism. But if you go back to the 18th dynasty during the reign of King Akhenaten, you would find that our whole society was a socialistic society. We were a collective people. You know what I'm saying? We cared about each other on a community level wise, not individually, not like the Europeans. We weren't like that at all, you know? And I think he died around what? Somebody help me out. I think it's 1334 BC. If I'm wrong, help me out. And we don't know this history. Many people don't know this history. A lot of people do, but a majority of people don't. You know, and we didn't want for nothing as we do today. We didn't want for anything. We had everything. We had everything. And the white people took it by force, just as it states. They took heaven by force. So once again, how do you expect to get it back? And if you don't know who your bright and morning star is, just read the book of Revelation, chapter 22, verse 16. And yes, Jesus tells you that he is your Satan. I'm just saying. You know, I was watching this movie entitled The Shack. And I highly recommend that movie because a black woman is God to me all day long on this plane of existence. She's God. And the polarity of it, the black man, black woman is God. In the conversation, hands down. You can talk about all that religious literature bullshit, whatever you want to. But anyway, the movie Shack, The Shack. If you haven't watched it, watch that movie. But you have to get past maybe like 4 or 5 scenes that really, when you get to them scenes, you'll see it. You're like, okay, but you got the message. But if you can get past those 4 or 5 scenes, that movie is a great movie, and I highly advise anybody to watch it. It is entitled the movie The Shack, or if you like to read, you can get the book. Okay, but like I say, Islam pushed the Romans out of northern Africa and took over the Mediterranean and Spain. And in fact, it was the black Muslims of Islam that invaded Spain and Europe and helped get them out of the Dark Ages because they was fucked up. Got them out of the Dark Ages, taught them maritime law, taught them latitude and longitude and everything else that they needed to become a nation or how to be successful. And basically, we taught them to rule over us. And if you read that Destruction of Black Civilization book by Chancellor Williams, you will keep seeing that as what would I want to say it? You keep seeing that cycle. It's a cycle. It keep repeating over and over. But why? Because black people ain't got the lesson yet. I'm just saying. I'm happy. I'm happy that I was able to bring you all something today, as I promised. But I got to get out of here. What else did I want to say? What's something else? Yeah, I'll get to that later. But I want to tell you all, I want to thank you all for watching this video. And like I say, for my brother that's out there, General Seti in Detroit, he is a great master teacher. Has some great material. He just said some things that I totally disagree with. But you know, brothers have their disagreements and what have you. But if it wasn't for the general, a lot of books that I'm reading right now, I wouldn't be reading. Okay. I was back there when you was on 125th Street years ago. And if I was an assassin, I could have assassinated you because you wasn't even paying attention because I was the little man. And I still might be the little man to you, but I could have got you if that was my nature. But I got a lot from you. I got a lot from you, a lot of material to read, a lot of good studies. So keep on pushing, get your ass back out here on that tube channel, man, and do your lick, all right? For all of those who are watching out there, I want to thank you all for watching, and have a great Memorial Day weekend, and stay away from the po-po. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and drive this weekend, and have some love, peace, and respect for yourself. I'll see you all in a couple of days. It's your brother 13th letter to the cipher, you all.